Good morning and welcome to the Winter County Middle School's Veterans Day program. To begin the program, I would like to invite the Giles Luce American Legion Post 364, commanded by Doug Nelson, to present to the colors. Thank you. Next, we have our representatives from our middle school pep band to play the Star Spangled Banner. So if you would remain standing but remove any caps, and they will play the Star Spangled Banner. like to give you a brief welcome before we are our official welcome a little bit farther into the program. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Molly Schlack, and I'm the middle school choir teacher here at Winneconne Middle School. And this is my first official Veterans Day program that I have planned, and I consider it a great honor and a privilege to have done so. We have a lot of things for a lot of student speakers today, some student essay contest winners, but to start things off, we have Zach Meyer, who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand as you are able and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated.
Welcome to Winneconne Middle School's Veterans Day observance. On this day, we Americans gather together to remember and thank our veterans. In each of America's struggles, heroes in uniforms emerge to inspire and spur us on to victory. America's servicemen and women who became our nation's veterans when they set their uniforms aside distinguished themselves through their willingness to risk life and limb in defense of the freedoms we all cherish. Those who have served our nation in uniform are the best people our society has to offer. We owe them our full support and our sincerest thanks. By their example of courage and selflessness, they raised us up as a new nation, inspired by the dignity of the common man, a nation blessed with heroes and heroes' dreams. That is America's leadership legacy. Now please welcome Emily Shulwitska to read her essay, which was one of the winners of the Veterans Day Essay Contest.
What is a veteran? Well, according to the dictionary, a veteran is a person who has served in the military force, especially one who has fought in a war, and of soldiers, having had experience or service in warfare. But to me, they are a symbol of our country's hardships and victories, a symbol of how our country comes together and fights for what's right. But war comes with scars, but the scars make us beautiful and amazing. Veterans Day means something different to everyone. Having had family members of my own who were and are veterans, it is a way to show my appreciation to them by making our country safe. Veterans Day isn't only for soldiers. It's for the people who have helped our soldiers when they were injured. For example, military medical staff, who I've seen many times what the aftermath is of a battle, fixing their wounds and leaving beautiful scars. Most of my family are nurses. Almost all of the people I haven't met in my family were medical people. Often I wonder where we would be without our veterans. I think we wouldn't hear the great stories they carry or know how great of a symbol they are to our country. Without soldiers and veterans, what state would our country be in today? I hope we never find out. I can't even begin to imagine what it feels like to be a veteran. They must feel incredibly proud and happy of what they do for our country. They must be proud of their military family. They must be honored with the day where we can appreciate them, thanking them for what they have done for our family, for our community, for our country. I personally want to thank all veterans for keeping our country safe, and thank you for your service.
At this time, we would like to honor the veterans that are in the Winneconne Community School District. Monica Knapp, who is our Director of Business Services, served in the U.S. Army for 4 years, and was honorably discharged as a sergeant, rank E5. She also served as a Korean translator. Ben Honer, our school resource officer, served in the U.S. Army from 2001 to 2006, attaining the rank of Staff Sergeant. He served in the 10th Mountain Infantry Division, the 2nd Infantry Division, and was also an infantry squad leader. He attended Army Air Assault School, received a Combat Infantry Badge, attended Combat Lifesaver School, and was deployed for Operation Iraqi Freedom from 2002 to 2003 and 2004 to 2005. BM1 Max Winke, a 3rd grade teacher for the Winneconne Community School District, served in the U.S. Coast Guard as an active duty member from 2009 to 2013, and as a reserve member from 2013 until the present day, just over 10 years combined. His typical duties included commanding search and rescue boats and other federal law enforcement operations. And we have Christina Kovala, a custodian at our high school, enlisted in the U.S. Air Force on June 14, 1995. After basic training, she was stationed at Ellison Air Force Base in Alaska, where she worked as a communications computer systems operator. Essentially, this office was the military message distribution center and computer help desk for the base. While in Alaska, she attained the rank of E4 Senior Airman. She was transferred to Bolling Air Force Base, working in the Systems Administration Office until she separated on April 12, 2000. Thank you for your service.
The first piece the choir will be singing for you today is called In Flanders Fields. This is a musical setting of the famous poem penned by Dr. John McCrae in response to World War I. This piece is powerful in its beauty and simplicity. It features soloist Liam Hansen at the beginning of the piece. Before we perform it for you, we would like to invite Nate Jeckert to the stage to recite the poem so it's fresh in your mind as we sing. Please enjoy In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks, still bravely singing. Fly scarce, heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved, and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up your quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
In Flanders Fields,
next I would like to invite Emily Sawiczko to the stand again to read the second essay contest winner.
Many people know that a veteran is someone that has served in the military for a long period of time. Many people don't know the work that goes into being in the military. Many people don't get to experience the feelings and all the memories you gain by being in active duty. Being a veteran is a lifestyle, and many lucky people get to live it. How do I think it feels to be a veteran? First of all, the accomplishment. The feeling of success in your field, even without being a veteran, that feels amazing. For example, it also feels great getting a 3 on a test. Feels great having someone compliment your hard work. I can't imagine being a veteran feels any different. We also have to acknowledge the hard work that goes into their job, just like a test. For a test, we study and we make notes. We talk over with our classmates to make sure we are hitting the exact points on to get a 3. The same things happens with being a veteran. They go through basic training and take many tests, physical and written. They study and they work at something until they are proficient. Little do we know, we have the same thought and feelings every day. In addition to the topic above, it's not just the ending. It's not just your results. The adventure along the way matters as well. I know parents and grandparents have served in active duty, and from my knowledge, they don't regret a thing. They're perfectly happy with their decision to serve in the military. They said they loved the memories and the experiences they can laugh about now. They appreciate their coworkers and their reminiscence of better times. I think that's what makes a veteran a veteran. Of course, they're not walking around decked out in medals and awards, so you are aware of who there has served and who hasn't. A veteran has all the memories and emotions. They have all the praise and respect.
That was written by 7th grader Ari Zafranik. Next, we are going to introduce our Veterans Day speaker, who is Colonel David Stone. Colonel David Stone served in the United States Air Force for 22 years, retiring in September of 2014. Colonel Stone was born and raised in the Republic of Panama, where he graduated from Balboa High School. Following high school, Colonel Stone attended Auburn University in Alabama, where he earned a degree in criminal justice and was commissioned through the Air Force ROTC. Colonel Stone began his Air Force career as a satellite operator, employing a variety of military satellites in support of combat operations on the ground and in the air. As a space weapons officer, Colonel Stone deployed to Incirlik Air Base, Turkey, to help enforce a no-fly zone established in northern Iraq. Later, he became a combat crew commander in the Minuteman III Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, also known as ICBM, system. Other assignments included serving as a war planner and as a personal advisor and a speechwriter for a 4-star general. As a lieutenant colonel, he commanded the 10th Missile Squadron, known as America's First Ace in the Hole, at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. As the commander, he led a squadron of 100 people and was responsible for 50 nuclear-tipped long-range missiles. Following his command assignment, Colonel Stone was assigned to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., where he was the deputy chief of the Nuclear Operations Division for the U.S. Air Force and was responsible for overseeing all of the assignments in the Air Force, all of the nuclear missiles and bombers in the Air Force. Colonel Stone's final assignment in the Air Force was in NATO, where he worked with the militaries of 32 countries to help develop defense plans. Since he retired from the Air Force, Colonel Stone works as a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Colonel Stone's children, Amanda and Joshua, both attend Winneconne High School, and his wife, Michelle, currently works as the library aide here in the middle school. Please join me in welcoming Colonel David Stone.
introduction and for the warm welcome. Thank you to my brother and sister veterans, both for being here as well as for your service to our great nation. Thank you to those of you from the community who took time out of your busy schedules to be part of our ceremony today. But most importantly, thank you to the middle school students of Winneconne for allowing me a few minutes to talk with you today. Because you are the great future of this great country. It is a tremendous honor to be part of this ceremony, and it's great to be here with the Winneconne Bills. During the early hours of April 19, 1775, the original American Minutemen stood in Lexington, Massachusetts, then in Concord, and exchanged the first shots of our nation's freedom. A little more than a year later, in 1776, 56 men signed the Declaration of Independence and said to King George of England, "Enough. We will be free." Since that date, millions of American men and women have served to defend that freedom, joining a long and proud line of patriots and warriors, and earned the title of veteran, with many of them paying the ultimate price. As a veteran, I am frequently thanked for my service, and I truly appreciate the expression of thanks, as I know all veterans do. But if you really want to thank a veteran, don't just say something, do something. The greatest way you can express your thanks is to do something to change our country for the better. Now, if you think that's too hard to do, or that you're too young to make our country better, you're wrong. So if you'll indulge this old airman for just a few minutes, you probably won't be surprised that I have a few recommendations for you. As a member of the Air Force, the guiding light for all of my actions was the Air Force's 3 core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Those 3 values served as the moral framework for everything I did. But whether you're a colonel in the Air Force or a middle school student in Winneconne, if you'll adopt these values in your life, you will make our country a better place. Not surprisingly, the first value is integrity first. And I bet we all have a pretty good idea of what integrity means, but there might be some things you've never thought about. One of the best definitions I've ever heard for integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. Now, obviously, integrity is a big part, honesty is a big part of integrity. But integrity also means having courage, and lots of it, to do the right thing, even if it's hard, scary, or might have negative consequences for you. Think of those Minutemen in Lexington, facing the British, and each knowing he might die in the coming battle. They were scared, but they also knew they had committed to stand together. Remember, courage doesn't mean you're not afraid. Courage means doing something that needs to be done even when you are afraid. Those Minutemen had the courage to do the right thing, and they held true to their promise to stand together. They had integrity. For you, integrity can take many forms. It means telling the truth and being accountable for your actions. It means never betraying someone's trust. It means we don't take advantage of someone. It also means being responsible for doing what you're supposed to do, and it means standing up for someone who's being picked on. In short, integrity always means always doing what's right, no matter what the cost. Now, it's not an accident that this value is called integrity first, and not just integrity. Integrity is the basic foundation of everything we do. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing. The second value is service before self. Anyone who's ever been on some kind of team knows that for the team to be effective, each member has to focus on what the team needs, not what they as an individual want. For example, on a football team, if everyone wants the glory of scoring a touchdown but nobody wants to block, there's no way the team can score, let alone win. But if everyone focuses on doing their part and puts the needs of the team first, there's a good chance you will succeed as a team. As they say, there is no I in team. In the military, service before self often means making tremendous personal sacrifice for the greater good. And I will tell you, personal sacrifice and service before self is where heroes are born. If you look at the actions of those who have received the highest medals, such as the Medal of Honor, it's rarely because they killed a lot of enemy or blew up a lot of buildings. And it's not because they set out to be heroes. They're heroes because they put the lives of others before their own. They charged straight into enormous danger, risking their own life, and in many cases dying, because they were far more concerned with saving the lives of others than with protecting their own life. As they say, greater love has no one than to lay down his life for another. And countless service members have done exactly that in serving others before themselves. Now, while those examples are extreme, others are extremely common. Think of all the military mothers and fathers who have missed their kids' birthdays or spent Christmas in a foxhole in Vietnam or Afghanistan with no real Christmas cheer and maybe not even a hot meal to celebrate the day. Having missed some of my own kids' birthdays and a couple of my anniversaries, I can tell you that is the hardest part. You don't mind missing it for yourself, but it's incredibly difficult to miss your family. Our veterans have willingly put service to our nation before themselves because they knew it was important. So what does that mean to you? Well, the football analogy I gave a minute ago is a great example. But this also applies to simple things, like letting someone else go first, thinking about how someone else feels, volunteering some of your time to help a classmate who is struggling with a problem in class, or just being a little patient with someone who's going a little slower than you. The point is, every one of you can be a hero just by putting someone else before you. The third value is excellence in all we do. This one might be the easiest to understand, but it's important to emphasize that this is in all we do, not just some things. In the military, people's lives frequently hinge on absolute excellence. Sort of okay, just is not good enough. As a result, we quickly learn in the military to be passionate about always being excellent, no matter how big or little the task. As a nuclear missile officer during an evaluation, if I was off by just 1 second, early or late, it was an automatic failure for the entire 4-hour evaluation. And not just for me, but for my crew partner as well. It also meant a visit to my commander's commander while wearing my dress uniform to explain to him why we couldn't get it right. That was a trip nobody wanted, I promise you. If we're putting a bomb on target, we can't be sort of accurate. If we're doing intelligence analysis, we can't guess at stuff we don't know because it's too much work to figure it out. And if we're doing a critical rescue mission, we can't be kind of on time. If we're not truly excellent in everything we do, our mission will fail and good guys will die. Now, the good part about embracing excellence is once you become passionate about it, it becomes second nature and becomes easier. So I challenge you, every one of you, indeed I dare you, to be excellent in all you do. In all of your classes, in doing your homework, playing your band instrument, singing in the choir, even your chores at home. Whatever you do, dare to push yourself to be excellent. If you do, you'll get better results. You'll make a positive difference in the world, and you'll find that through example, your excellence will push the people around you to be better too. You'll also realize that things are a lot more fun if you're good at them. And by the way, that includes things like math and writing essays. So there we have our 3 core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. As I said at the beginning of remarks, these 3 values serve as a guiding light for our actions as members of the Air Force. But equally as important, they can serve as a guiding light for the actions of all Americans, especially for you as our young generation of patriots and the future leaders of our nation. Today we have gathered to honor our veterans and acknowledge the sacrifices they made to gain our freedom. As a veteran, I will speak for all in saying we are honored and humbled by these events held around the nation every year on November 11th. But we shouldn't limit our thanks to a ceremony once a year. We can and should honor the legacy of our veterans every day, not with ceremonies, but by cherishing the freedoms that they bought and by adopting those values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do, that help form the fabric of our freedom. I challenge each of you to make these values part of your life. If you do, you'll find yourself becoming better and more prepared for the future, and as promised, you'll make our community and nation a better place. Thank you so much for your attention and allowing me a few minutes to share my thoughts today. Go Wolves.
Thank you so much, Colonel Stone. That was wonderful. Now I'm going to invite Paige Dorachek to introduce our Armed Forces medley.
Our final piece we are performing for you today is Tribute to the Armed Services. This medley features the theme song from the 5 branches of the military with a new arrangement of America the Beautiful by Lloyd Larson. At the finale of the piece, each branch of the military will be shouted out by students in the choir. When the branch that you served in is shouted out, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your service, and it is our honor and privilege to present to you the Tribute to the Armed Services.
slideshow of family members of staff and students of the Winneconne School District showing their veterans their pictures set to a song. So we hope you enjoy our slideshow.
He said, Mama, I know you have a lot of plans for me. College in the fall, hey, I'm almost 18. I've been doing lots of thinking about a lot of stuff. Went down to the recruiter today and I signed up. And if not there, then where? If not now, then when? If not this, then what else can I defend? Being gone and being scared. What else can I do? If not me, Mama. If not me, then who? He's upstairs shaving, his clothes are starched and pressed. I'm down here praying, my mind is in a mess. I asked where he got these crazy ideas anyway. He just smiles and says, it's the way that I was raised. And if not there, then where? If not now, then when? If not this, then what else can I defend? Being gone and being scared. What else can I do? If not me, Daddy. If not me, then who? We wait for his letters, emails, and satellite calls. Then politics, that's number 84, wide receiver for the Wildcats, whose picture is hanging in my hall, next to the soldier standing proud and tall. He said, if not there, then where? If not now, then when? If not this, then what else can I defend? Being gone and being scared. What else can I do? If not me, dear God. If not me, then who?
Now I would like to invite Melanie Zilgis to the stage for presenting us a history of taps.
The origin of taps, the distinctive bugle melody played at U.S. military funerals and memorials, and as a light-out signal to soldiers at night, date back to American Civil War in July 1862. U.S. General David Butterfield and his brigade were camped at Harrison Landing, Virginia, rethinking after the 7 days battle near Richmond. Dissatisfied with the standard bugle call employed by the Army to indicate troops it was time to go to sleep, and thinking the call should sound more melodious, Butterfield reworked an existing bugle call used to signal the end of the day. After that, he had his brigade bugler, Private Oliver Wilcox Norton, play it for the men. Buglers from other units became interested in this 24-note tune, and it quickly spread throughout the Army, and even caught on with Confederates. Not long after Butterfield created taps, it was played for the first time at military funerals, for a Union cannoneer killed in action. The man's commanding officer, Captain John Tidwell, decided the bugle call would be safer than the traditional firing of 3 rifles over the soldier's grave, a move which couldn't have been confused by the nearby enemy as an attack. As for the name taps, the most likely explanation is that it comes from the fact that prior to Butterfield's bugle call, the lights out call was followed by 3 drum beats called the drum taps, as well as the taps, and then simply taps. When Butterfield call replaced the drum beats, soldiers referred to it as taps. Although this was an unofficial name, according to taps historian and bugle expert Jerry Villanueva, he notes that Butterfield's original bugle call was officially known as Distinguished Lights in American military manuals until 1891. Since that time, taps has also been a formal recognition part of U.S. military funerals. Riley DeWitt, Everett Fox, Shrim Jacobson, Tyler Leibold, Putin, and Alice Willis will be playing taps for us today. Please join me in a moment of silence as taps is played.
Thank you so much for attending this year's Veterans Day program. Any veterans in attendance today are invited to join the middle schoolers for lunch in the middle school cafeteria. Now, the members of our American Legion Post will retire the colors. We hope you have a safe trip home and a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Cat.
Thank you to the American Legion. Again, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'd now like to invite Mr. Schrader up to help with dismissal.
I would like to take a quick moment to once again thank all of those who have earned the title of veteran. We thank you for your service today, and we hope that we have added to making this day special for you. Also want to thank Ms. Schleck and Mr. Schwartz, pep band and choir, 7th and 8th grade choir, for contributing to making this day special. It was absolutely outstanding. And for dismissal today, we want to make sure that we are respectful and keeping it safe for our veterans and for all of our guests. So we are going to dismiss and all of our guests and veterans first today. Students, please stay seated until you hear an announcement to go. So to our guests and to our veterans, thank you for attending today. Drive safe, and once again, veterans, you're welcome to stay for lunch. All right, students, as we dismiss today, I want to remind you that we have many guests in the building, and many of our guests probably walk a little bit slower than you do and might not be quite as agile as you as far as avoiding small collisions and things of this nature. So please be respectful to all of our guests as you are walking in our halls. Make sure that your speed is toned down a little bit so that we are avoiding any kind of collisions and things of this nature. And I'm going to go first with grade 8. Grade 8, if you would find your way out at this time. Grade 7. Grade 7 at this time. grade 6. Grade 6, stay seated. Thank you. Grade 6. I'm waiting for 0 voice level. Thank you. First of all, I intentionally am dismissing you last because many of our veterans, it's kind of a tradition here at Winneconne Middle School that our veterans stay for lunch. And I know that you're hungry, and I already noticed that many of you were jumping out of your chairs, which tells me that you cannot wait to get down to lunch. But I'm going to remind you that I would like you to walk appropriately. Once you get to our lunch line, I would imagine that many of our veterans are probably standing there in line. That's one of the reasons that I'm dismissing you last, is to give them a chance to get through our lunch line before you. On this day, a day of honor for them, it is very appropriate to allow them a chance to eat before you. Another thing that you will notice in our lunchroom today, and we don't do this for grade 7 and 8, this is a grade 6 thing only, and so it's a special honor for you as students of our middle school, and that is, it is pretty regular that we have 15, 20 veterans that'll hang around and have lunch with us today. There'll be a few extra tables set up in the middle, and there'll be some chairs at the end of tables for our veterans. And here's a suggestion for you. Veterans, many times, they like to tell stories, and if I were you, I would just listen and soak up everything that they have to share and anything that they have to say. And for some veterans, maybe some of those stories are a little bit more personal than others, and some veterans won't want to share at all. Maybe some of their memories are such that they just don't want to share. It's too personal, and that's okay too. Maybe they want to hear your stories about family members that you have that have been part of the service. So when you are there today in our lunchroom, absolutely engage in a conversation. Absolutely make them feel welcome. Be respectful. And if you're ever nervous about what to say, it is always appropriate to simply say thank you for your service. That is always appropriate. Today is going to feel also a little bit different for your recess time. Obviously, this is taking a little longer than normal as far as our Veterans Day program. Team 6 teachers have arranged a time for you to run off a little bit of steam here this afternoon. Do not worry about that. Do not be concerned about that. Take their lead, take their instructions. Okay? So with all of that said, I am going to dismiss this group right here first to lunchroom. Thank you for walking appropriately. And we will dismiss this section here. Thank you.
yeah, they went back to their classes now.
I was